Uchiha's Rebellion, The Rise of Ruohuo. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 1. What do you think happened to the Konoha Security Department? Obito's brain is here anyway. The new semester has just begun. Teacher Omu felt that his teaching career was facing challenges. Because on the first day of school, serious absenteeism occurred. There were actually 5 students absent from class. Let's talk about you two first. At this moment, Teacher Omu was sitting behind his desk, looking at the two brothers with serious eyes. According to student records, the spiky-headed boy on the left is Uchiha Obito, his younger brother. The short-haired boy on the right is called Uchiha Ruohuo, and he is the older brother. Brother, tell me first, why did you miss the first 2 classes today? Teacher, we encountered a special incident. Uchiha Ruohuo, a boy with a short head, said seriously. Special event? Teacher Omu frowned. We met several Hyuga classmates who were beaten. They were beaten very badly. We did good deeds and sent them to the hospital. A classmate who was beaten? Good people do good deeds? Send people to the hospital? Sent to the hospital. Teacher Omu narrowed his eyes, activated his skill, Teacher's Eye, and looked at the two brothers up and down. My brother is fine, he is very clean. But the younger brother, who is in utter embarrassment and has half panda eyes. Combined with several other students who were absent from class, the identity of the Hyuga clan in the file. Teacher Omu rubbed his swollen eyebrows. Wakahuo, tell the truth to the teacher. Were you two the ones who beat up those Hyuga classmates? Teacher Omu emphasized the word Hyuga very strongly. Yes. Ruohuo answered simply. Then the case is solved. The Uchiha and Hyuga clans have always disliked each other. Students from these two wealthy families have always been competing with each other in school. Friction is normal. Among the graduates of the previous class, just before graduation, students from these two groups even had a date. It has always been the key task of all the teachers in the ninja school to guide the children of the two races to compete fairly in school and avoid private fights. But Teacher Omu never expected. The first grade class that I just taught this year can cause such a vicious incident on the first day of school? After dealing with these two brothers, Teacher Omu has to go to the hospital quickly. But the victim is Obito, sensei. Before Teacher Omu could speak, Ruohuo pointed at Obito's panda eyes and torn clothes. They were the ones who hit Obito first. I had no choice but to help Obito defend himself. But I didn't expect them to be that weak. So, Obito is the victim, I just sent the abuser to the hospital, sensei. Ruohuo spread his hands and told what happened. He went to school in the morning and halfway through, he forgot to bring his school bag, so he asked Obito to run errands and go back to get it. But he didn't see Obito back for a long time. If Wa felt something was wrong, he went back to look for him. As a result, I saw several Hyugas beating Obito halfway, which was extremely cruel. Can you bear this? He is Obito's eldest brother. So Wakahara grilled several Hyugas with fire style and sent them directly to the hospital. Teacher Omu opened his mouth. So in this fight, the elder brother had no choice but to take action in order to protect his younger brother? And even though he defeated his opponent, he still knew how to send people to the hospital, which is still a kind of good character. What the hell? People have been beaten to the hospital by you, and you still insist that your brother is the victim. Call. Teacher Omu took a deep breath, stood up immediately, and said in a serious tone. I'm going to the hospital now. You two must be honest with me in school, you know? These words were completely addressed to Ruohuo. Compared to his younger brother who looks a bit naive, Ruohuo, as the elder brother, is obviously more difficult to deal with. Don't worry, teacher. We, the Uchiha clan, hate evil very much. The reputation of the Konoha Security Department is known to everyone in the village. I will definitely help you maintain order in the classroom. Ruohuo said seriously. My brother is right. Obito also puffed up his chest, looking very proud. Teacher Omu felt a pain in his head. You don't have to do anything. Just stay there. Teacher Omu finally couldn't help but scolded. This is a ninja school. There are no evil people. There is no need to bring the things from the Konoha Security Department to the school. As soon as Teacher Omu finished speaking, he felt something was wrong. It's not that there's anything wrong with what he said, he just wants the two problem children to be honest. Mainly Ruohuo's reaction. Teacher. What do you think happened to the Konoha Security Department? Ruohuo's expression suddenly turned cold, and he took a big step forward to confront Damu directly. Since the establishment of Konoha, the Konoha Security Department has been committed to the security of the village and has not dared to slack off for many years. Teacher, What do you think of the Konoha security department? Still have any opinions about Uchiha? Ruohuo's voice became louder and louder, and his eyes became more and more dangerous. The other teachers in the office looked over one after another, with expressions of surprise. This first grader seems to be scolding the homeroom teacher? And it's still the first day of school. Not to mention other teachers, even Dama looked confused at the moment. I will report this matter to the patriarch. As soon as teacher Omyu said a word, he was blocked by Ruohuo. I will tell the clan leader that Mr. Oki, who is responsible for teaching the students of the ninja school, has extremely serious prejudice against the Uchiha clan. The teachers at the ninja school are all personally selected by Hokage-sama, right? So other teachers are like this too? Then it's Hokage-sama who is against Uchiha. Alright. Seeing that Ruohuo's words were getting more and more outrageous, Damu immediately activated his body and hurriedly covered Ruohuo's mouth. Then he glanced at several juniors in the office. Several juniors understood this and hurriedly walked out of the office and closed the door. After confirming that the door was closed, Dama looked at Ruohuo. The boy's eyes were calm and serious. But Oki, who has been dealing with the children of ninja school for more than 10 years, saw the cunning in the eyes of the young man. At this moment, teacher Omyu immediately realized that he had been fooled. Those alarmist words should be just to cover up a serious incident where they beat someone to the hospital? Why is this kid so scheming? So, you beat some of them very seriously, right? Damu then let go of Ruohuo and said with a big head. The victim is Obito, teacher. Ruohuo emphasized. I know. Damu rubbed his eyebrows again. You acted bravely and protected your brother. You are right. Having learned from the past, how could Dama dare to say something like no matter what, fighting is wrong? Oni-chan is awesome, Oni-chan is right. Obito also agreed. Teacher Omyu's head is getting bigger. Anyway, you should stay well at school now. How will this matter be handled in the end? I will report it to you truthfully. Damu emphasized the word truthfully. Besides, there are still some things that need teacher Omyu's help. Ruohuo raised his hand. Huh? Teacher Omyu raised his eyebrows. The way this kid raised his hands to speak now looked a bit like a student. Our lunch was spilled by them during the fight. Please tell Mr. Omyu the parents of the other party and ask them to compensate. Ruohuo said seriously. In addition, there is Obito's beating fee, mental damage fee, my chakra consumption fee, and the rescue fee for carrying people to the hospital. Saying that, regardless of Damu's increasingly gloomy expression, Ruohuo raised 2 fingers. Please calculate the mental damage fee into 2 parts. I will forget it, but Grandma will definitely feel distressed when she sees Obito like this. Grandma is the most important person to me and Obito. Even the Fugaku clan leader respects Grandma. It makes her feel distressed and the cost is very high. Episode 2. The stronger my tribe is, the better I am. Damu asked several colleagues to help keep an eye on the class when he left. Especially those 2 Uchiha brats. Then he hurried to Konoha Hospital. Ruohuo and Obito followed a teacher and went to the school doctor's office first. The school doctor's sister is a middle-aged young woman who should be a few years older than Ruohuo in her previous life. She has a beautiful face, a woman's unique charm, a plump figure, and a wedding ring on the ring finger of her right hand. She fits one of Ruohuo's favorite types in her previous life. But considering his age and still developing, coupled with the pile of tasks in the system. So Ruohuo stood obediently at the door of the school doctor's office, waiting with the teacher responsible for keeping an eye on him. With nothing to do, Ruohuo opened his exclusive interface for time travelers in his mind. The stronger my clan members are, the better my system will be. Name, Uchiha Ruohuo. S*X, male. Age, 6.5 years old. Main plane identity number, 168 1314. Current plane, Hokage Ninja World. Bound family, Uchiha clan. Current overall strength evaluation of the family, A. Received family reward, E. Fire Style Little Genius. You can always learn Fire Style Ninjutsu quickly. The number of Fire Style Ninjutsu reserves can increase the reward level. Your Fire Style Ninjutsu enjoys a 30% power increase. Obtained family reward, D. Single Magatama Sharingan. Your Sharingan level depends on the strength of your family. Completing family tasks can unlock stronger blood inheritance limits, with the upper limit being Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Family reward, C, has not been obtained. Please complete the family task. In the name of Uchiha, become the chief student of Konoha Ninja School, and break the early graduation record. For half a year, you need to prove that the Uchiha family's talent is the best. Family reward, B, has not been obtained. Please complete the family task, be promoted to Konoha Chunin. Although Wanyan Genin sounds powerful, it is an evil path after all. Family reward, A, has not been obtained. Please complete the family task, join the route/Ambu, and obtain the position of squad leader or above. Please penetrate into Konoha and help the family shine. Personal skill panel, not unlocked. Need to complete C-level family tasks. Personal attribute panel, not unlocked. Requires completion of B-level family tasks. In fact, before time travel, Ruohuo still had a chance to choose. The options at the time were Senju from the Second Ninja War, Uchiha from 5 years ago, and Hyuga from Konoha 48. Senju is too dangerous, and the plot during the Second Ninja War is completely blank. Without the power of the 10-year-old to destroy the ninja world, it would probably be a mess. Hyuga is too weak. What kind of future can there be for people who carve caged birds on their foreheads? Even if you dig out the eyes of all the tribesmen, you can get a reincarnation eye, but why bother? He had to deal with the caged birds and dig out their eyes one by one. He was not a pervert. Wakaka feels that Uchiha at this stage is pretty good. The strength of the entire clan is on the rise, and the eradication of the clan is still far away, and there is also a lot of room for maneuver. So the Uchiha clan was bound. The function of the system is the same as the name of the system: the stronger the clan members are, the better I am. Depending on the overall strength of the Uchiha clan, you will receive rewards every time you reach a stage and complete stage tasks. Today, the Uchiha clan is rated A level. It contains 5 levels of A, B, C, D, E, and the tasks from C level to A level are somewhat similar to those before Itachi's rebellion and cannot be completed for the time being. However, the 2 lowest levels do not require completion of tasks. This means that Ruohuo starts with a pair of single Magatama, plus the buff of a fire-style genius. It's a pity that I can't be older. The baby start still delays things. The identity arranged by the system is that of an abandoned baby. At 2 years old, he was thrown directly into the world without any sense of responsibility. But Ruohuo is very lucky. Obito's grandma went up the mountain to collect firewood and happened to meet her. Grandma was kind-hearted and took Ruohuo home, raising her with Obito, whose parents had recently died. Life must have been a bit bitter, but Ruohuo also felt a family affection that he had never experienced in his previous life. In his previous life, he had a father who was a director who served the people, and a strong woman mother who was a business tycoon. Rabbit conquered the 7 continents. He grew up separated by the Pacific Ocean from his parents since he was a child. He has longed for family affection since he was a child. However, Ruohuo has liked to watch retro cartoons since he was a child, such as Pleasant Goat and Big Big Wolf, Bears, or some hot-blooded cartoons from Jiaobao City, Sea of Death and so on. Especially, the story of Hokage Ninja and Black Zetsu rescuing his mother is really exciting. So I am relatively familiar with the plot lines of this world. The strength curve of the Uchiha clan should have reached its final peak in the 6 months after Shirsui's death. Wakahuo thought to himself, 6 Mangekyo should have an S, right? In the original time and space, after the night of genocide, it was Uchiha's darkest period. There were only 2 left in the whole clan, but fortunately, they were all men. Zoliangna was born more than 10 years later, so the fire problem was saved. Certainly. It's only Konoha's 40th year, and there are 2 little villains who have exterminated the clan. One calls him Big Brother, and the other is not even born yet. There is still a lot of room for operation. And even if he ignores the system tasks, just for grandma's sake, Ruohuo will not let the tragedy happen. Well, if Madara identifies Obito, then there are still 6 years left. 6 years, almost. It is now the preparatory stage for the Third Ninja War. After 2 years, it will enter the warm-up stage, a big melee among the major ninja villages. It will enter the official stage in 2 years, the entire ninja world will form a team to beat Konoha, and Uchiha will be able to appear. By then, at least Fugaku will be able to unlock a pair of Mangekyo. If he completes the task from C to A, each task only gives 1 Magatama, and that is enough for Mangekyo. Barely able to reach an S? After completing the S-class family mission, the entire Eternal Mangekyo, it should be enough to defeat the elderly Madara. I just don't know if it's too late for Fugaku to open his eyes. There will also be an S-level mission, I hope it won't be too outrageous. With this in mind, Obito walked out of the infirmary. The panda eyes were cured, but the torn clothes on his body made Obito still look a little embarrassed. As the eldest brother, Ruohuo became more and more uncomfortable, so he turned to look at the teacher next to him. "Teacher, can you lend my brother the vest you are wearing for a day?" This teacher is obviously a newcomer, a junior of teacher Omiyu, and he has witnessed Ruohuo's lethal power in the office just now. Just when he was hesitating whether to agree or not, Ruohuo's combo punch had arrived. Obito is a student of ninja school. He experienced school violence, which led to his current embarrassing appearance. What we, the Uchiha clan, value most, thank you sensei. Please remember to return it to me tomorrow. I just got a vest when I took office. The young teacher said weakly. Please rest assured that we, the Uchiha clan, will avenge our enemies and repay our kindness. In the future, Obito will repay the teacher for today's kindness. Ruohuo helped his stupid brother put on his vest. It's a bit big and looks like a gown. I simply left the zipper unzipped, which looks quite fashionable. After putting on his vest, Ruohuo patted the back of Obito's head. Why don't you thank the teacher yet? Thank you, teacher. Obito bowed 90 degrees and shouted loudly. No. It's okay. The teacher scratched his head, feeling a little sense of accomplishment for some reason. These brothers don't seem that scary? By the way, teacher, Obito was beaten very badly. Fortunately, the seniors in the school doctor's office have superb medical skills, otherwise there may be many problems left. Hyuga may confront us in the next 2 days, and we will ask the teacher to help us testify. Ruokayajian said, of course, if the teacher is afraid of the Hyuga clan, he can also choose to pretend not to know. It's just me, the Uchiha clan. Okay. The teacher was almost sweating. I will report everything that happened today truthfully, okay? Episode 3. From today on, I am the monitor. I was late on the first day of school, because of a fight. I was delayed for a while, because I went to the infirmary for treatment. By the time Wakahara and Obito arrived in the classroom, the bell rang for the 4th period. The person in charge of substitute teaching was also the teacher who took the two of them to the school doctor's office. Ruohuo and Obito followed the teacher to the podium. Because the teacher came late and there were only children in the 1st grade of ninja school, the classroom was in a mess. The young teacher had little experience, maybe because he was not wearing a vest, so he said, quiet, several times in a row, but it obviously had no effect. Ruohuo frowned. They, Uchiha, are most disgusted with this chaotic phenomenon. Everyone, please be quiet. Ruohuo slapped his palm on the podium. The effect of this voice was really good, the classroom immediately became quiet, and even the teacher next to me was startled. Ruohuo looked around the audience and stayed on some acquaintances for half a second. Especially the white one. Let me introduce myself, my name is Uchiha Wakahu, and this is my younger brother, Uchiha Obito. We all come from the Uchiha clan, the oldest ninja clan in the ninja world. Obito's back straightened instantly. Feel sorry. Ruohuo said suddenly. The sudden apology immediately put doubts in the eyes of the students, and even the teacher next to them was a little confused. Is this guy also the type to apologize? I'm very sad. Because on the way to school today, I met a few Hundan who bullied my classmates, and I casually sent them to the hospital, causing us to be late. It's wrong to be late, but teacher Omiyu praised me. Ignoring the weird expression of the teacher next to him, Ruohuo said seriously. He also asked me to act as the monitor of the class. Senior Omiyu didn't say that. He absolutely didn't. The substitute teacher next to me glanced at him from the corner of his eye and screamed crazily in his heart. But I just don't dare to say a word. Violence on campus is not allowed. We, the Uchiha family, hate evil very much and we can't bear to bully others the most. From today on, if students are threatened, please tell me as soon as possible. Ruohuo waved his hand, as the squad leader, I will carry out justice to the end and protect the safety of my classmates. This impassioned speech instantly conquered the entire class of primary school students. Especially girls. It's definitely not because Ruohuo is too handsome. They just like this kind of monitor who is willing to protect his classmates. As a result, many students joined in support. Monitor. 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 What kind of monitor is he? The substitute teacher almost went crazy. He beat people until they were hospitalized, and threatened teacher Omiyu and me, 3 times in total. Didn't the classmates realize that he had snatched all my vests? Quiet. Ruohuo pressed down with both hands. Many students have already recognized this monitor, especially the female students, and the classroom gradually became quiet. Teacher Omiyu, please arrange the seats. Please cooperate with me, students. After all, this is my first task as the monitor. Ruohuo said in a fake tone, and then pointed at a male classmate. That classmate, yes, is your little 4 eyes. You are myopic at such a young age. What should you do when you become a ninja in the future? We must protect our eyesight in school and try to adjust it before graduation. Come and sit in front, there are still spaces here. When his name was called, Xiaoxi stood up immediately and walked to the front very cooperatively. Abito, come over. Ruohuo pointed in the direction of Noera Lin and said. Although she is not Ruohuo's type, Miss Ren Lin is also quite kind. It's perfect for opening Abito's eyes. Uchiha Madara's plan is too evil, but the effect is good and the direction is right. Ruohuo has a new version of the eye-opening plan. One day in the future, the moon will be dark and the wind will be high, and there will be murder and arson. Abito returned home and saw Noera Rin being held in his arms by his Oniai-chan, disheveled and unconscious. My stupid Odouru, this girl, is so smooth. Hiss. This must not be done on the spot, Mangekyo? Abito trotted all the way and sat next to Noera Rin. Noera Rin just moved her position slightly and gave Abito another smile, but Abito couldn't stand it anymore. A small face immediately turned red, and every hair on the hedgehog's head seemed to be shy. Hello, Abito-kun, my name is Noera Lin, please take care of me. Hello. Abito replied shyly and sat down. Ruohuo raised his eyebrows. I sent a wave of benefits to the stupid brother Odouru, and now it's my turn. Although they are all primary school students, Ruohuo is not that beastly. But it seems that there is something to be said for developing a girlfriend. Ruohuo is a serious person. A decent person would naturally not let a cute girl become a widow. And she got pregnant out of wedlock, which is simply immoral. Then the decision is yours. That guy who looks a lot like Mr. Third Generation, spit out the toothpick in your mouth first. If you dare to hold a toothpick in your mouth now, you will dare to smoke in the future. Smoking in public places, do you still have a sense of morality? Konoha Hospital. Teacher Omu doesn't know yet, but his class has turned into the shape of Ruohuo. When he arrived, the corridor was already filled with Hyuga's clan members. Although the leader was young, he had an extraordinary temperament. He stood so quietly, but he had the aura of a powerful person. This should be the recently succeeded head of the Hyuga clan. Teacher Omu's head is even bigger, why is this person so alarmed? But now that the matter has come to this, he can only bite the bullet and go to negotiate. But before he got close, Mr. Omu was stopped by two Hyugas, with their hands outstretched. Who? I am Aoba Oki, the teacher of the ninja school. I am the teacher of those children. The attitude of the two Hyugas was a bit too strong, which made Teacher Oki feel a little unhappy, but he could only be unhappy. Hyuga, after all, is Konoha's super family. Let him come. At this time, Hyuga Hayashi, who was not far away, spoke faintly. The two Hyugas then let them go. This is a hospital, not you Hyuga clan. If you can help it, don't let the doctor come. Teacher Omu cursed in his heart, but still walked up. To put it bluntly, the reputation of the Hyuga clan is not that bad. But thanks to a certain new student, Teacher Omu's day was not going well, so he was not in a good mood either. I am Hyuga Hayashi, the head of the family of these children. When Omu approached, Hyuga Hayashi spoke. I have a general understanding of the situation. It was these children who started the provocation, but their skills were inferior to others, and they had to be sent to the hospital afterwards. This is an oversight in the discipline of my Hyuga clan. Hyuga Hayashi paused. I would also like to ask you to convey my gratitude to those two children. If they hadn't sent them to the hospital in time, these children might have lost the qualification to become ninjas in the future. As soon as he finished speaking, a Hyuga next to him walked over and took out an envelope full of banknotes. Judging from the thickness, it should be quite a lot. But these children probably won't go to ninja school for the time being. When they recover from their injuries, they will need some special training to regain their lost dignity. I will inform you today and please convey it to you as well. After saying that, Hyuga Hayashi walked past Ogi. A group of Hyuga also left. Omiya looked at the envelope in his hand and frowned gradually. Having taught for many years, he knew the styles of these big families. The last thing they allow is for the dignity of the family to be provoked. Special training after recovering from injuries. Looking at the closed ward door, Demu sighed, always feeling that for these children. It's also a little too cruel. Also, the bigger the family, the more ruthless it is. By comparison. The difficult pair of Uchiha brothers, but... Tisk. Dama shook his head. He was really angry. He actually thought those two brothers were pretty good. What a ghost. You have to go back to school quickly. But, it seems like the two brothers didn't have lunch, right? Forget it, let's bring a lunch, after all, it's time to grow. I hope you can be more honest in the future after eating the food brought by the teacher. Little Devil. Episode 4. You shouldn't provoke Uchiha, little white hair. Wow. So much money. Noon, office. Looking at Obito, who was like a money addict, Ruohuo suddenly remembered Guan Shiga's classic sayings. I was in my teens or 20s at that time. Of course I thought I was very handsome. Wow, with so much money, I would buy a Ferrari first. Huh? Isn't this the code name that will be added to Umbu in the future? Please call me Konoha Edison. This is what the Hyuga clan chief asked me to pass on to you, saying thank you for sending the person to the hospital. Teacher Omu also gave 2 portions of ramen to Ruohuo. This is lunch for you too. Teacher Omu deliberately did not say anything about finding dignity. As a teacher, he doesn't want his children to be under too much pressure. Let Hokage-sama make the decision. After all, this is the first time such a serious thing has happened. Wow. Ramen. Obito next to him was excited again. Ruohuo took the lunch with a strange expression. So the head of the Hyuga family only paid for us to take the person to the hospital? What about the other expenses? My chakra usage fee, Obito's beating fee, and grandma's mental damage fee. Almost done. The frequency of Dama-breaking defenses today even surpassed that of when he first became a teacher. Then he saw Ruohuo's brows gradually frowning. Huh. Taking a deep breath, Damu adjusted his hand. Okay, you go to eat first. Anyway, I will report this matter to the superiors. As for your request, I will report it as well. Boy, if you have the ability, ask Master Hokage to help you collect mental damages. Thank you for your hard work, teacher. Ruohuo also knows what Mr. Omu's abilities are, and this can be used as a reference for Irika in the future. There is absolutely no need to make things difficult for others, just look for opportunities to defend your rights in person. He is Uchiha, the future boss of Konoha's security department. Isn't it easy to maintain personal rights? By the way, teacher, I am now the class monitor. This was elected by my classmates. Before leaving, Ruohuo reminded, although I repeatedly declined, the students still think it would be better for me to be the monitor. Perhaps everyone thinks that Uchiha, who is responsible for security in Konoha, is more reliable. Teacher Omu looked at his junior, silently. The younger generation just ate their lunch with their heads down and looked shameless. Besides, Ruohuo suddenly remembered something. Since I am now the class president, please tell Teacher Omu that I am the chief student of the first grade as soon as possible. Why are you the chief again? Dama rubbed his increasingly painful eyebrows and said with the last patience, the chief student needs to pass the assessment. You have to be among the best in both practical and cultural classes to become the chief student. It's just your first day of school, how come? Boom. Before he finished speaking, he had already left. Dama sighed and looked at his junior faintly. Noma. Can you tell me how he came to be the squad leader? On the other side, Ruohuo and Obito came to the rooftop and ate the ramen Mr. Oki brought them. Brother, my ramen has one more egg than yours. This is for you. Obito said as he was about to put eggs into Wakahuo's bowl. Ruohuo's face darkened and he refused, decisively, Tuzi, you are growing, you'd better eat it by yourself. Oh well. Looking at Obito swishing ramen into his mouth, Ruohuo always felt as if he had raised a mentally retarded younger brother. Can you believe that this guy could become the number 3 boss in the ninja world in the original time and space? One thing to say. Although there aren't many plots about the boy Obito in memoirs, he doesn't feel that silly, right? Is it because I have a super handsome and charming brother in my life? It can only be like this. Ruohuo raised his eyebrows, and then looked at the other side, a white-haired man who was chewing a rice ball and pretending that he hadn't looked over just now. Kakashi also had lunch on the rooftop. The current sea-level mission, to put it bluntly, is to break Kakashi's graduation record and at the same time compete for the top student position. To put it simply, defeat Kakashi and graduate directly. Nothing wrong. Hey, little white hair, were you peeking at me just now? Kakashi choked. Little white hair? What a weird name. Speaking of which, this squad leader seems to like to call others contemptuous names. I call my classmate who wears glasses Zayacian, and asthma as Zayalian, and now. Doesn't he know that slander is also a form of school violence? But this guy seems to have a sense of justice. Even though I called others little four eyes, I also let them sit in the front row so that they could easily read the blackboard. Asma likes the bad habit of holding toothpicks in her mouth, and I feel that she will develop into smoking in the future. Gee, this squad leader is so difficult to evaluate. I'd better go back and ask Dad tonight. Hey! Didn't you hear what I was talking to you, you little white-haired fish-eyed guy? Come here. Seeing that Kakashi didn't respond, Ruohuo's voice became much louder. Seeing this, Obito didn't finish chewing the ramen in his mouth quickly. Come here. Kakashi rolled his eyes. He has been practicing with his father since he was a child. He has seen the world of elite ninjas early on, and he does not want to be like the two of them. However, the stairs were relatively close to the two of them. Kakashi felt that he might be blocked when going downstairs normally, so he prejudged the operation. After finishing the last bite of the rice ball, Kakashi calmly put away the lunchbox, gave the two of them a standard middle finger, and then jumped lightly. He actually jumped directly from the rooftop of a 6-story building. Of course, Kakashi didn't just jump off the building out of hesitation. He was so light that he first landed on the window edge of the 5th floor, then jumped onto the water pipe, grabbed the water pipe with one hand, and slid down. Not to mention, these silky movements are a bit cool. At least that's what Obito thinks. Wow, he is so handsome, brother. Ruohuo looked at Obito with a little more pity. So all the Odudu in the ninja world have stupid attributes, right? Don't move around here. Finish your ramen before going downstairs. Remember to take the stairs. Since Kakashi used his middle finger to send the request for a duel, how could Ruaka not accept the challenge? I saw Ruohuo jumping directly onto the rooftop railing and leaping into the air. At this moment, Ruohuo's entity experienced a sense of freedom that he could not experience in his previous life. It is different from high-altitude sports that require equipment assistance, such as skydiving and bungee jumping. The height of these 6 floors is not low, but Ruohuo is sure of landing safely. Just get close to the ground. Fire style, great fireball plus. Ode. He spit out high-temperature flames from his mouth, and the powerful impact briefly reacted on himself. Ruohuo forcibly slowed down in the air, and then landed steadily. At this time, Kakashi slid to the 2nd floor. Looking at Ruohuo, who was riding on the fire wave and came first, his whole little face was stunned. Is this guy crazy? Little by Mao, you shouldn't provoke Uchiha. After showing off the operation, Ruohuo crossed his hands across his chest and said coolly. The practical class in the afternoon is a good one. Ruohuo wouldn't fight privately in school, or block the door after school. That's what bad boys do. As a righteous Uchiha, rejecting school violence starts with me. Episode 5. Ruohuo vs. Kakashi. In a blink of an eye, the first class of the afternoon came. Practical experience class. On the first day of school, the main focus is an experience. Teacher Omiya led a group of children around the wooden pile and gave each child a few shurikens to throw up. Here you can distinguish the difference between civilians and families. For a child from the ninja clan, when drawing lots, the only thing he might have is a detonating charm or a shuriken. It's naturally easy to throw, and at least the hit rate is high. Children from civilian backgrounds will be happy for a long time if they can hit the target once. If they go to the battlefield in the future, they will most likely be cannon fodder. It is worth mentioning that in this life, Obito has been exposed to a lot of ninja knowledge since childhood because Ruohuo is very interested in practicing Gon and practicing Zhang. All 5 shuriken shots were fired, and 2 of them hit the bullseye. Perhaps this result can only be regarded as average, but it is still much better than the previous life. Whoosh whoosh. Kakashi threw several shurikens, one after another, and all of them hit the target. Wow. Kakashi-kun said that so well. I hit them all. Is the monitor the only one left? I'm really looking forward to it. If I were the squad leader, I would definitely get all the marks. After all, Kakashi also became the number 1 beauty in the 1st grade class of the ninja school in 3 classes, and received a lot of cheers. Then the squad leader Guan Shiga came on stage. The appearance of the Uchiha family never disappoints. Although Ruohuo's short hair is incompatible with other Uchiha, it adds a sense of domineering while still being aloof. Brother, give it. Obito was so upset that he took the shuriken back, which he often did. Ruohuo didn't throw it away in a hurry, but looked at Kakashi. Since there is a huge gap between you and me, and my duty as monitor is to protect my classmates. So before the battle begins later, I will give you some information. Ruohuo played with the shuriken in his hand. Look carefully, shuriken, shoot like this. Whoosh. The 5 shurikens were fired almost at the same time, and even the sound of breaking through the air was almost the same. However, there are slight differences in the direction of the launch. These differences are magnified countless times after advancing a certain distance. The 5 shurikens collide with each other and change their arcs. Bang bang bang. After locking for the 2nd time, all the shurikens finally hit the target, but they were lined up and hit every area accurately. Wow. As expected of the monitor, he's so handsome. The squad leader's shuriken skills are so good, it's a neat one. What should I do? On the left is Kakashi-kun and on the right is the monitor. It's so hard to choose. Sharingan, the sooner you open it, the better. Although there is only a single Magatama. But Ruohuo started throwing stones with Sharingan at the age of 2. Now that I have practiced, even if I don't use Sharingan, I can still shoot wherever I want. Ouch. What a brat. Teacher Oma smiled and shook his head, but he was not surprised by Wakahui's shuriken skills. The unexpected period of time has long passed. After this morning, Omu has also seen a teacher with a big world. Do collisions change the orbit? This requires rigorous calculations and precise control of strength. Kakashi frowned and looked at the target. He had practiced with his father since he was a child. He knew how difficult Ruohuo's skill was. Not that he couldn't do it. It just takes a lot of time to practice. And since he started practicing with his father, the direction of his practice has always been Hatake swordsmanship. Looking at Ruohuo again, Kakashi's eyes finally became more serious. Kakashi, who has not experienced darkness yet, is still a little boy after all. There is still a bit of a desire to win in me. What a coincidence. Although the soul is an adult, Ruohuo, who enjoys this time travel journey, is also a full-fledged teenager in mentality. It is said that in the early stage, Kakashi definitely took the template of the protagonist. He graduated in half a year and Chunin in half a year. When he was Chunin in the same period, this guy was already a Jonin. Ruohuo started with a single Magatama, which took 4 years to adapt to and practice for 4 years. Just compare yourself with this protagonist to see what level you are at. Okay, next is the actual combat training. Kakashi and Wakahui stay, the other students spread out. Demu had long noticed the tit-for-tat confrontation between the two brats. Not only did he not stop him, but he also had the good sense to help. One is Lord Whitefang's son. One is the talented Uchiha boy. Both kids are clearly geniuses. Compete with each other, promote each other, and maybe become partners in the future. It's a pity. Originally, there were still positions for the 3 Hyuga students in this competition plan. I don't know how Mr. Third Generation will handle this incident. Demu was thinking in his mind, and after seeing that the 2 people had consciously formed a seal of opposition, he also gave the order, start. Whoosh. Teacher Omiya left the field in an instant. And the next second. Whoosh. The 2 teenagers started at the same time, and their right forearms collided together. The power is not beneath me. Kakashi made a quick judgment in his mind. It's faster than me? Ruohuo also discovered the problem. According to where they were when the 2 collided, Kakashi was indeed half a step ahead of him. It doesn't make sense. You usually catch hares with your soil, and you don't practice sprinting too much? Ruohuo is not very convinced. This is even more true for Kakashi. He has been practicing swordsmanship since he was a child, but his strength is not superior to his peers. What a joke. Kakashi, who had a coefficient of 20%, attacked again and hit Ruohuo with a knee. Ruohuo, who was a little depressed just now, almost laughed. When he and Obito usually dominated the Uchiha neighborhood, Obito liked to use this trick when fighting with others. However, the knee push was just a feint, and Obito's real, killing move was actually stepping on his toes. Boom. Ruohuo pressed down with one hand, forcibly holding Kakashi's knee, and then stretched out a small hook foot from the lower body, trying to destroy Kakashi's balance. Kakashi didn't sit still and used his free left hand to hit Ruohuo with his fist. Even if he fell down in 0.5 seconds, it wouldn't be a loss. Ruohuo had no intention of being hit by an electric cannon. Kakashi was half a minute faster than him and had the upper hand. He was already passive in this attack and defense. Then let's fight again in 2 rounds. Wakahui's way of ending the round was also simple and crude, a headbutt, avoiding the swing of punches, and hitting Kakashi's nose directly. This madman. The forehead was much harder than the nose. Kakashi used his knees again and used the reaction force to retreat quickly to avoid Wakahui's headbutt. The 2 distanced themselves. Kakashi took out a kunai. Wakaka also revealed the Sharingan. Teacher Omu cheered up, fearing that the 2 little guys would be injured. The scene was completely silent, and the students even forgot to cheer. The 2 handsome guys in the class were so awesome. It was Obito who broke the silence with his voice. Brother! Burn him! Ruohuo's mouth curled up slightly. Although Obito doesn't look very smart, he has grown up with him and dominated the Uchiha children's circle for 4 years. There is indeed a tacit understanding. He also had kunai and even shurikens in his ninja bag. But why not use it? Of course, it's time to form seals and release skills. Ruohuo quickly formed seals with his hands, thanks to the magical pen-turning skill in his previous life. With Sharingan's blessing, Ruohuo's hand speed was so fast that it turned into an afterimage. So fast. Kakashi's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect Ruohuo to form the seal so quickly, and it was too late to interrupt. You can only retreat to gain buffer space and throw away the kunai at the same time, and make seals with both hands quickly. Fire style, great fireball. 1 second interval. Earth style wall. Episode 6. You don't even want to call me monitor. The fireball and the earth wall collided together as if destined by fate. It's just that the earthen walls of Kakashi don't have dog heads yet. And his opponent is not Obito. But the man Obito called his big brother for 4 years. Ode. The art of great fireball. As the first and only fire-style ninjutsu mastered by Wakahui. With years of practice and the blessing of the fire-style little genius, Ruohuo has long been trained to the extreme. Perhaps limited by his body, the power of this technique cannot be so outrageous. But Wakashi, who had long known that Kakashi would use earth style to defend, was able to change the form of the great fireball through slight adjustments. The total consumption of chakra remains unchanged, and the overall power remains unchanged. But it has expanded its scope and far exceeds Kakashi's earthen wall. In a word, the great fireball is hollow. In this way, you can spread out directly when encountering resistance, then bypass the earth wall and continue to attack forward. Tie the motor. Teacher Oki secretly cursed, almost forgetting about the 3 Hyuga students. They were all roasted into the hospital by fire style. But Omyu's teleportation was only halfway activated, and due to his vision, he stopped again. Hey! This young man. As expected of Lord White Fong's son, are you ready? Puff. The fire wave devoured the earth wall and also hit Kakashi. But Kakashi's body turned into a branch. This is knowledge that the ninja school will only be exposed to next week, the substitution technique. Kakashi didn't know when he had arrived on the branch of the big tree behind him, and broke a branch to replace the weapon. There was no way, the only kunai I carried with me had been thrown away. Kakashi is a student now, so he can't put so many weapons in his ninja bag. As White Fong's son, using tree branches is too cheap, right? Ruohuo showed the demeanor that a strong man should have at this time. He threw a kunai directly to Kakashi, and he picked up the one Kakashi had left on the ground. Although Ruohuo really wanted to have a fair fight with Kakashi so that he could test himself. But in fact, this wave is not a loss. The kunai he threw to Kakashi has been used for many years. The price of ninja tools is not cheap. He and Obito only have this one at home. He has been using it all the time, and it is almost worn out. Kakashi felt something strange as soon as I got it. Why is it so light? Take a closer look, good guy. Except for the handle, the entire kunai has obviously been polished frequently, and it looks a lot smaller than the normal kunai. But Kakashi didn't say anything. The other party can throw kunai to him, which is at least better than him using branches. I apologize for my previous provocation, Uchiha Wakuhu. Kakashi jumped down from the tree and said seriously. But no matter what, please be careful next time. Kakashi assumed an offensive stance. The single Magatama in Ruohuo's eyes locked Kakashi tightly. He hooked the kunai with one finger and rotated it, looking indifferent. Don't you understand yet? Kakashi. The gap between you and me cannot be bridged by a kunai. You don't even want to call me monitor. Then I won't give in anymore. Joke. No matter how talented Kakashi is, can he avoid Sharingan's dynamic vision? Shan Magatama, he is also a Sharingan easy to defeat. Call. Kakashi took a deep breath. Now that the matter has come to this, it is inconvenient for him to say anything more. Fight. Whoosh. Kakashi rushes to attack. Hataki swordsmanship is all about preemptive strike. Wakahuo looked relaxed on the surface, but in fact, he was 100% focused. Shan Magatama locked onto Kakashi's movements and secretly wrote them down in a small notebook. This is the Hataki sword technique that has been passed down from generation to generation. In the future, when White Fan commits suicide and Kakashi becomes autistic, the story will be lost. What you can take a look at is a glance, and what you can learn is a little. Ping. Kakashi's attack was fierce, with the kunai and forearm at a 30 degrees angle, slashing down horizontally. Wakahuo's speed is not an advantage, but Sharingan has the effect of seizing the opportunity. Wakahuo sets up a kunai to block in time. Kakashi changed his attack from splitting to teasing, and also added a turning whip kick. Ruohuo saw an opportunity, gave up blocking, turned sideways, and lowered his waist, perfectly evading. Kakashi changed his moves, one after another. Ruohuo responded again. The battle between the two completely turned into a contest between sword skills and Sharingan. Ruohuo was able to do it with ease, but his single Magatama was limited by the completion of the task, and he could only maintain a single Magatama for 4 years. However, the accumulation of experience, adaptation, and proficiency with these eyes are not limited by the system. His consumption is not much, which is the amount he usually catches rabbits. But Kakashi tried his best, and every time he swung the sword, his physical strength would plummet. And just when Kakashi had used up all his combos and made no achievements, he was out of breath. Ruohuo's little notebook gradually recorded a set of roughly systematic sword techniques. The power is clearly greater than mine, but why has he been hiding? Kakashi pulled away temporarily, panting, feeling a little bad. Do you know why the Uchiha clan is the strongest in Konoha? Suddenly, Ruohuo said softly. Kakashi didn't want to bother talking, as that would disrupt his current breathing rhythm and affect his recovery. But you have to respond to show respect. Nodding is not appropriate, so you can only shake your head. And this time shaking his head also helped Ruohuo successfully pretend to be a perfect beep. Because in front of these eyes, the enemy's weaknesses will be magnified without limit. And the advantage of the enemy. Everything will become nourishment for these eyes. Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Ruohuo picked up the kunai and rushed towards Kakashi, united his sword and elbow, and slashed down from top to bottom. Kakashi's pupil shrank, this was clearly his move. He quickly brought up the kunai to block, but Ruohuo changed his move again, from slashing to sweeping. Even the changed move was the one Kakashi had just used. Ping. Kakashi blocked the attack, but his eyes were filled with shock. Ping. If Hua attacks again, Kakashi can only block in a hurry. Ping. The knife was already only half an inch away from Kakashi's neck. Kakashi blocked it with many narrow escapes, and a touch of panic appeared in his eyes. Not only did he see his own shadow in the other person. I even found that the other party seemed to slow down his movements deliberately, as if he was waiting for him. That's it, Kakashi. Ruohuo put away the kunai and put it directly into his pocket, while forming the seal of reconciliation. Kakashi was a little distracted. Looking at the smile on Ruohuo's face, Kakashi breathed out and finally formed a seal of reconciliation. I lost. Monitor. Episode 7. 3 CBD Brothers. Kakashi lost, Tsukumo. Hokage Building, Hokage Office. Third generation turned off the crystal ball and smiled at White Fang in front of him. Haha. White Fang was neither disappointed nor worried. Instead, he laughed out loud and cheerfully. This kid usually looks like he has no desires and desires, but actually he always thinks he is very powerful. I was worried about how to get him to take up the profession of ninja, but now it's better, haha. Ninja school is indeed a place to educate people. Third generation also smiled. There is nothing more gratifying than watching the little guys in Konoha thrive. It's a pity that brat Asuma, why doesn't he know how to make progress? What do you think of Kakashi's opponent, Tsukumo? Third generation asked. Well. White Fang went through Ruohuo's performance just now in his mind, and then paid attention to third generation's expression, and knew that the old man was talking about more than just this battle. He is a genius. White Fang commented, but he still needs the right guidance. Unlike other geniuses, this kid is from the Uchiha clan. His talent is clearly visible, but the nature of the Konoha security department and the Uchiha clan's methods of doing things are a bit paranoid after all. But this child is different from most Uchiha ninjas. His companions are not limited to Uchiha, otherwise he would not have sent those children to the hospital. Master third generation, I think this child has a promising future. White Fang gave it a very high rating. Third generation took a puff of cigarette, puffed out a puff of smoke, and saw a cloud of smoke in front of his eyes. Yes. These children are the future of Konoha. Brother, kunai is so expensive, why doesn't Kakashi ask you to take it back? On the way home from school, Obito asked curiously while playing with his new kunai. Because his dad had, because I beat him into submission, Obito. Ruohuo educated his stupid brother, the world is like this. As long as your fist is big enough, others will be afraid of you. They will take the initiative to give you their precious things, to prevent you from hurting them. But if you promise to protect these people, then they will love you, and at the same time they will take the initiative to give you precious things, so that they can have more of your protection, and then bully others. Obito nodded confusedly and looked at his fist, half understanding, then remembered something and pointed to the Hokage rock in the distance. Brother, if I conquer Grandpa Hokage, will he let me become Hokage? In both time and space, Obito's dream is to become a Hokage. This problem may be a bit complicated. Ruohuo shook his head. I actually told you before, if you want to be a Hokage, you have to fight not just the third generation project, but the entire village. Ah? Brother, why is it so troublesome to become a Hokage? Obito didn't quite understand. Did Grandpa Hokage also defeat the entire village to become a Hokage? No. Ruohuo shook his head again. Third generation is very strong, but his ability to become a Hokage has nothing to do with his strength. He was not the one who defeated the whole village. He was just the one who stood on the shoulders of giants and picked the fruits. Ruohuo said the last sentence in his heart, but he was still slightly prepared to listen. The first generation conquers the world, the second generation diligently guards the home. When it comes to third generation, conspiracy politics is at hand. Senju disappeared and Tsunade lost her home. Minato died in the battle, and Naruto had a hard childhood. This is what third generation does. Ruohuo doesn't have much opinion on the third generation project. But the development of the Uchiha clan has reached a critical moment, and they must have a collision with Konoha. There is no doubt about it. Regardless of the original time and space, or now, the conflict between Konoha and Uchiha is a legacy of the times. From Ninja Sect to Sengoku, from Indra and Azura to Madara and Hashirama. This thing cannot be reconciled, and there are even deeper reasons behind it. Aren't those who tried to change all this, such as Uchiha Mirror and Uchiha Shisui, become cold? The original time and space, even without Obito and Itachi. Konoha and Uchiha will also have a battle. It's just that without Nine Tails, Uchiha is unlikely to be Konoha's opponent, and the ending will most likely be annihilation. But it's different now. Under his careful training, Obito will definitely be a noble Uchiha warrior in the future. Itachi hasn't been born yet, but even if he has been planning to defect to the third generation since he was born, Ruohuo is confident that he can suppress it with one hand. Don't ask, asking is the confidence of a senior. As for Shisui. Brother Obito. You are finally back. As soon as he reached the gate of the tribe, a little curly man with a snot-filled nose ran over, holding 2 fishing rods several times taller than him. I fell down before taking 2 steps. Without crying or fussing, I got up, patted the soil, wiped my nose, picked up the fishing rod, and continued running. Obito greeted him. Come on, Shisui, I'll take you fishing. Brother Obito, can you catch a rabbit today? I want to eat roasted rabbit. I want to eat too. Obito looked at their eldest brother. Ruohuo shrugged, then let's go, but Obito, you have to go home first and give the money to Grandma. Don't talk about the fight, just say that we acted bravely and others gave us a thank you fee. Okay. Obito ran home quickly. Ruohuo looked at Shisui, who was less than 4 years old, and smiled like a senior. Let's go, before it gets dark, I'll take you to catch rabbits. Yes. This little guy with a snot-filled nose and a stumble even after running for a few steps is the future famous Shisui. He is also the number 2 younger brother that Ruohuo just took in not long ago. He is the 3rd youngest and is codenamed 3rd D Shisui. Big C Ruohuo, 2B Obito, 3D Shisui. Just the 3 brothers Uchiha CBD, Water, Fire, and Earth, have grown up with 3 Gundams to open the way. Are you still afraid of you, Konoha? Speaking of which, Shisui's life experience is quite miserable. It's almost the same experience as Obito. He hasn't seen his parents since he was a child, and he was raised by his neighbor's grandmother since he was a child. But Shisui in this time and space is obviously luckier. Because, like Obito, he also has a super handsome and invincible big brother. The key is that the child can worry less. To open Obito's eyes, Ruohuo had to plan a lot and formulate a Jirenryu eye-opening plan. Not necessary for Shisui. It develops on its own and becomes Shisui shortly after setting foot on the battlefield. In a few years, after returning to the village from the Kirigakure battlefield, he will become the distinguished heavenly god Shisui. But in this time and space, Ruohuo has no intention of letting distinguished heavenly gods appear. This guy's shaft. The reason why the original time and space tried to use distinguished heavenly gods on Fugaku was also for Uchiha's good. Shisui has no grudge against Fugaku. On the contrary, Shisui respects the head of his family very much. And Ruohuo definitely wants to be the clan leader. He didn't want the brothers to turn against each other and destroy their relatives for the sake of justice. Episode 8. Uchiha's fate is my responsibility. It was just getting dark. The future Uchiha chief Wakahu, and the future Hokage Obito, finally returned home. Huh? Ruohuo noticed something strange before he even got home. At this time, Grandma usually likes to sit at the door and blow the air, waiting for the two children to come home, which can also save some electricity bills for turning on the lights. But Grandma didn't have it today, and the lights at home were on. Are there guests? Ruohuo quickened his pace and walked a few steps. As soon as he reached the door before entering the house, he heard his grandma's voice. I am getting older and my brain is not very clear. If you need anything, just tell my two grandchildren. Looking for trouble? Who dares to come to Uchiha to cause trouble? Ruohuo rushed home, but immediately calmed down after seeing the figure in the living room. It turned out to be the former patriarch and his wife a few years later. Auntie, you are joking. I see you are strong. Mikoto sat next to his grandma and smiled. Fugaku noticed the two brothers at the door and laughed loudly. Look, the two men at home are back. Grandma just praised you for being sensible. Hello, Mr. Patriarch, and hello, Auntie Mikoto. Ruohuo said hello obediently and patted Obito on the back of the head. Hello, Mr. Patriarch, and hello, Auntie Mikoto. Obito said hello. After saying hello, the two brothers came to Grandma's side and stood on the left and right. Grandma turned to look at Ruohuo. Xiao Ruohuo. Grandma, why did you hear Xiao Fugaku say that you and Obito fought with someone again today? Obito's whole body tensed up. Grandma hates it when they fight with others. Every time they come home from a fight, no matter whether they win or lose, they have to be beaten. Ruohuo moved his eyes away from the two scrolls and gifts on the coffee table, nodded calmly, and said. Well, a few Hyuga cataracts wanted to bully Obito, so I sent them to the hospital using fire style. Did you hit Hyuga? Then it's okay, he didn't kill anyone, right? No, but I can't get out of bed for 3 to 5 months. That's such a pity. Grandma shook her head in disappointment. Fugaku's eyes twitched. Is there something special about the old lady's education method? You have to be careful when fighting in the future. You are the elder brother. Don't worry too much when protecting your younger brother. Do you understand? I know, Grandma. Ruohuo responded obediently. Grandma stood up and said, then you two talk to Xiao Fugaku. I'm tired and should rest first. Fugaku and Mikoto stood up and sent the old lady back to her house respectfully. When Grandma closed the door, the people in the living room seemed to have relaxed a lot. Well done, little guy. Fugaku was the first to say. I've heard everything about what happened today. 1-on-3, you were able to send someone to the hospital after defeating your opponent. You did a great job. Fugaku made no secret of his praise for Ruohuo and pointed to the two scrolls on the table. I heard that you can use fire style today? Here are 2 sea-level fire styles. You can try to practice them. If you don't understand anything, you can come to the Konoha Security Department at any time. Even if I'm not here, the seniors there will be happy to give you advice. The appreciation and support in Fugaku's words were very clear and undisguised. It's obvious that Fugaku is here to gain favor. Maybe Shursui in the original time and space had the same treatment, so he accidentally met Itachi who skipped class and became Itachi's real enlightenment mentor. However, ordinary little devils may quickly fall under such sugar-coated bullets. But Ruohuo obviously won't. Because in Wakahuo's view, Fugaku is not a qualified clan leader, otherwise Uchiha would not have wiped out the clan. That would mean the entire clan was wiped out, no one, including the elderly, children, women and children, was left alive. Although Itachi was responsible for the incident, Fugaku, as the clan leader, cannot escape this responsibility. Not to mention whether Fugaku can stop his son. Even if you can't, you should at least be responsible for your tribe, right? Of course, even if Fugaku did this, he would eventually be defeated by Itachi. As long as Uchiha's ending doesn't change, Wakaki will still look down on Fugaku. Yes, it's not that easy to keep Uchiha. But if you don't have the ability, then you can come down. I will bear Uchiha's fate. As for Uchiha Itachi. Wakahuo glanced at Mikoto's belly. It wasn't pregnant yet, but Itachi should be there. Maybe I can leave it to Obito in the future. Thank you, Mr. Patriarch, can I take a look? Ruohuo looked very curious. Although he looks down on the future former clan leader, ninjutsu is not guilty. For various reasons, Ruohuo has mastered Great Fireball and Fire Style so far. Although he has mastered the skill, it is somewhat disappointing. A great opportunity like today must not be missed. Of course. Fugaku raised his hand, this is a gift for you. Don't be formal. Although it's just 2 sea-level fire styles, but... Halfway through Fugaku's words, he suddenly realized that the little guy's expression was not right. Ninjutsu type, sea level fire style, dragon flame jutsu. Learning conditions, 3. Sea level fire attribute chakra property saturation, square root. Sea level chakra control, square root. Sea level chakra reserve, square root. This ninjutsu meets the triggering conditions of fire style little genius and is successfully triggered. Successfully learned the art of ninjutsu, fire style, dragon flame. The last time a similar prompt appeared was when I was learning Great Fireball. After many years, Ruohuo finally added a fire style to his skill set. But Ruohuo didn't show much joy, instead he was a little disappointed. Lord Patriarch, I have known this technique for a long time. Can you change it to another one? Of course. Fugaku didn't think there was anything wrong. It's just a sea level fire style, mastered at 6 years old, 6 years old. It's true that it's a bit young, but this is genius. Ruohuo then opened the second scroll. Ninjutsu type, sea level fire style, Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Learning conditions, 3. Sea level fire attribute chakra property saturation, square root. Sea level chakra control, square root. Sea level chakra reserve, square root. This ninjutsu meets the triggering conditions of fire style little genius and is successfully triggered. Successfully learned the art of ninjutsu, fire style, Phoenix Sage Fire. Current fire style ninjutsu reserve, 3, your fire style little genius has been upgraded to fire style star. Fire style star, the requirements for learning and activating fire style ninjutsu are reduced by 50%, and the fire style ninjutsu increase is increased to 60%. This time there was some extra information, which caused Ruohuo to miss the best time to pretend to beep. Fugaku smiled and said, "Little guy, you can't do this, right? But it doesn't matter. With your talent, it won't take long to master this technique. In this way, when you master it, you can come to Konoha Security Department to find me, and I can teach you more, huh?" Halfway through Fugaku's words, the smile on his face suddenly stopped. I saw a flash of scarlet in Ruohuo's eyes. It was Shan Magatama Sharingan. Fugaku's face was filled with astonishment, and he opened his eyes at the age of 6. This is completely different from learning ninjutsu. Look at this person who has never seen the world. Finally, enjoy your time as clan leader these past few years, Fugaku. When I'm studying and thinking, I like to turn on Sharingan, so that I can concentrate more easily. Ruohuo made up for the unfinished beep and doubled it. I've already learned this ninjutsu. Lord Patriarch, what did you just say? Episode 9. Toolman Fugaku. Ruohuo, your eyes. Ah, this is Sharingan. Fugaku choked. Ruohuo, when did you activate Sharingan? Well. Ruohuo thought for a moment. I forgot the specific time, it should be 1 or 2 years ago, right? Obito was beaten very badly. At that time, I just felt a redness in front of my eyes. Although it would be more shocking to say it when he opened his eyes at the age of 2, Fugaku probably wouldn't believe it. But it doesn't matter. Opening eyes at 4 years old is basically the same as opening eyes at 2 years old. You can tell it from Fugaku's expression. Fugaku was stunned for a few seconds at first, his Adam's apple twitching, his eyes quickly became extremely sharp, and there was a touch of excitement on his face. Ruohuo-kun, it is exactly what Grandma said, he is a reliable brother. It only takes less than 10 minutes to return home in a state of despair. And this is the 4th time Fugaku has changed his title tonight. First he was called the man of the family, then he was called the little guy, then he called Ruohuo by his first name, and now he added the nickname. This means that in Fugaku's mind, Ruohuo has been completely distinguished from other brats of the same age. This is a 4-year-old genius with an eye-opening eye. Super genius. Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Patriarch. Although I don't like Fugaku very much, I don't hold back Wakaka's interest in Fugaku. Apart from anything else, at least Fugaku's fire style reserve can be regarded as a treasure to him at present. The little genius of fire style has been upgraded to fire style star, and the panel attributes alone are scary enough. Learning conditions are reduced. The consumption is halved and the power can be increased. If this continues to escalate, Uchiha Madara will have a fire style grilling the ninja coalition. Won't they be able to capture it sooner or later? So the Patriarch has prepared other ninjutsu scrolls? Ruohuo blinked and said, it's best if it's a little more difficult. I'm not a 3-year-old kid anymore. These sea-level ninjutsu feel like school textbooks, too easy. If the fire continues to beep. He didn't see anything wrong with it either. Fugaku had hinted him twice to go to the Konoha Security Department from the moment they met. Haha. It's just easy for you. Fugaku smiled and shook his head. Is sea-level ninjutsu easy? It is. But if these words were said by a 6-year-old kid, that would be a different matter. I'm sorry, I only brought 2 scrolls today, but it doesn't matter. As long as you want to learn, as the leader of the clan, I naturally have no reason to refuse. Fugaku said seductively, are you still in school? In this way, you can come to the Konoha security department during the weekend. There are all the elite ninjas of the Uchiha clan there. Not only fire-style ninjutsu, taijutsu, genjutsu, and the correct use of Sharingan, you can get the answers there. Lord Ruohuo, you need to know that the blood inheritance limit of our clan is not just for studying and studying. Fugaku's eyes also flashed a flash of scarlet, and 3 Magatama appeared above them. Wow! Obito exclaimed. Brother, the patriarch's eyes are just like yours. Ruohuo. Fugaku. Mikoto covered his mouth and chuckled, of course, little Obito. We are all members of the same clan. Uncle Fugaku is the clan leader, which is equivalent to your patriarch. We all have the same inheritance limit. When you open your eyes, you will have the same eyes as your brother. Mikoto's words made Ruohuo give him a +10 rating. Isn't this a perfect assist? I understand, patriarch. Wakahara patted the back of Obito's head and said, wait until the weekend, and I will take Obito to the Konoha security department for guidance. There was a probing test this week, and the test results basically locked in the title of chief student. If everything goes well, Ruohuo plans to graduate directly and not stay in the ninja school for another day. This year's Chunin assessment will be in 2 months. If nothing unexpected happens, after this Chunin assessment, we will have to wait until next year for the next one. The Ninja World War is about to enter the second stage, a melee between villages. With the rewards from B-level family missions, he can gain more experience and gain military exploits on the battlefield with greater confidence. As for the qualifications to participate in the Chunin assessment, as far as Ruohuo knows, in addition to the approval of guiding ninjas, the big family also seems to have the authority to recommend clan members. Before he officially took over the authority of the Uchiha clan leader and led Uchiha to become bigger and stronger and achieve greater glory. No matter which angle you look at it. The Fugaku in front of him is a fully functional tool man. Okay, then I will wait for you at the Konoha security department, Wakahuo-kun. Fugaku stood up and stretched out his hand, wanting to rub Ruohuo's little head. Ruohuo wanted to refuse, but did not hide. He also extended his hand. Haha. Fugaku smiled and shook hands with Wakahuo. You will definitely become an outstanding ninja, Wakahuo-kun. I also think so. Haha. You're so confident, not bad. It's getting late, so I won't bother you. See you on the weekend. Master Patriarch, walk slowly, Aunt Mikoto, walk slowly. *2. Husband, do you know anyone who can open their eyes at this age? On the way home, Mikoto leaned against her husband and asked. Well. Fugaku thought for a moment and said seriously, as far as I know, there really is one. Who? Why didn't I know? Mikoto asked curiously. His name is Uchiha Itachi, or maybe Uchiha Nanako. He turned on Sharingan when he was just born, earlier than that kid Wakahu. Mikoto rolled his eyes, but the smile on his face remained the same as he stroked his belly gently. Baby, did you hear that? Daddy is looking forward to you. That's right, my son must be a unique genius. Fugaku said seductively. Why can't it be a girl? Nanako sounds so nice. Mikoto rolled her eyes at her husband again. My daughter is also a unique genius, and she is a great beauty, just like her mother. Fugaku answered fluently. The young couple flirted and flirted all the way, so unhappy. Speaking of which, hubby, that child is so precocious. I always feel that he is not a child, but his younger brother. Geniuses are all like this. Fugaku said with a smile. But genius also needs to grow. I really hope there will be more and more geniuses like this among Uchiha's children. In this way, when I abdicate, I will be able to live up to the expectations of the old patriarch. Episode 10. Please recover. At night, there are stars. The star of fire style is lying on the lower bunk, and Obito is on the upper bunk, eating ramen in his dream. Things will get better soon. Ruohuo thought. He's playing very well. With Sharingan as the core, all aspects go hand in hand. Being able to defeat Kakashi proves that his first 5-year development plan has been successful. Next, he will enter a period of rapid development. Graduated, Chunin went to the battlefield and entered Umbu. The journey of genius is similar. Itachi, Kakashi, Shursui, all follow this path. Before Minato becomes Hokage, Uchiha should be able to reach S-class, right? The second 5-year plan is Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Among the known information, the person who activated Mangekyo the fastest was the white-eyed wolf weasel. Of course it could also be Shursui. The way Ruohuo opens his eyes will be different. Add umbu or roots to open eyes. This is even simpler. As long as you can become a chunin and become the most handsome boy on the battlefield, it will only take a matter of minutes to enter umbu. Minato Konoha succeeded to the throne at the end of 46 years, nearly 6 years, which is enough. As for the roots? Noble Uchiha, shameless and cooperating with sewer rats. If Danzo really came to recruit, Ruohuo would definitely agree without hesitation. Then after receiving the reward, he directly gave Danzo a middle finger. Turn around and report back to Konoha Security Department. Don't ask, asking just means looking down on you. Do you want to start a war? Uchiha is so evil, why not let Uchiha go to the battlefield? I bet you don't dare. Speaking of which, if Obito is not fooled into doing pyramid schemes by Madara, Nagato, maybe we can try to win over him? I don't know if non-staff members count towards Uchiha's strength. Ruohuo suddenly thought of this. The first-generation Akatsuki organization was tricked by Danzo and Hanzo. Hanzo's scythe is blunt, and he is afraid that the Akatsuki organization will affect his dominance. If Danzo fanned the flames again, there would be no possibility of cooperation between the two organizations in the Land of Rain. And he only needs to descend from the sky at the Akatsuki organization's most critical moment and execute justice in the name of Uchiha. The Vassal Force module has not been unlocked yet. Please check the system panel after completing the A-level family mission. The system suddenly popped up a prompt, which almost startled Ruohuo. Is it really possible to unlock it by completing the A-level family mission? Ruohuo blinked. Does the system really have this function? Then maybe this 5-year plan can add a little more content. Develop the Akatsuki organization into the Uchiha Rain Country branch? Hey! It seems that the Akatsuki organization was originally a vassal of Uchiha Madara, so he just took it over and used it, so there's nothing wrong with it. Perfect. Ruohuo was so satisfied that he closed his eyes. The direction is already there. Next, he will try it in his dream. The week at school always goes by slowly. As the squad leader, Ruohuo must lead by example, so he did not skip school to practice. Of course, this has something to do with the fact that he doesn't know how to shadow clone yet. No way, shadow clone is a B-rank ninjutsu after all. There were no scrolls at home, and his grandma didn't know how to do it. There was no place for him to learn if he wanted to. Finally got to the weekend. All grades in ninja school are facing a preliminary examination. The results of this examination will determine the quota for the top student of that grade. Said he was the chief student. But in Ruohuo's view, he is actually a different kind of good student. The quota will be changed based on future examination results. It is equivalent to issuing certificates in advance and then encouraging other students to study hard. The competition is still a bit fierce. However, Ruohuo is a man of 2 generations, so he is naturally good at handling small scenes like this. But in order to ensure that the number of top students is guaranteed and to pave the way for early graduation. So Ruohuo found Teacher Omyu directly after the exam. Speaking of which, Teacher Omyu has always said that he would report to Hokage about the previous fight. But it's been a week and Ruohuo hasn't received any news. Dong dong dong. Ruohuo stood at the door and knocked politely. It's Ruohuo, what's wrong? I'm here to help you mark your papers, teacher. Teacher Omyu thought for a while, but still refused Ruohuo's help. He would rather ask for help from his own shadow clone. You don't have to worry about it. You can go have lunch first. The results will be announced in the afternoon. Teacher Omyu waved his hand and took out a red pen to prepare for overtime correction. But before it started, he noticed that Ruohuo hadn't left yet. Teacher Omyu felt a little bad and asked helplessly, is there anything else? Monitor? Teacher Omyu slightly emphasized the word monitor. The content of this exam is very simple, teacher. Ruohuo said coolly, I want to know, will all future exams be this easy? You just need to digest the things in the textbook and then fill them in the test paper step by step. Teacher Omyu was stunned for a moment. He felt that Ruohuo was right. He nodded and said, as for practical combat, the teacher will also teach you some knowledge that is not available in the textbooks, so you still need to listen carefully in class. Speaking of listening carefully, Demu was quite surprised by Ruohuo's performance this week. Because the first grade of the ninja school teaches mostly basic theories, which are actually not unfamiliar to children from wealthy families who have received training. Ruohuo has shown strength far beyond his peers before. Therefore, Mr. Oki has always believed that Wakahara is the younger generation that Uchiha focuses on training. But even so, Ruohuo was still very serious in class. Quite unexpected. But I am already the strongest in the class. Even the senior Hyugas have to take a detour when they see me. Ruohuo spread his hands and said, "So, teacher, what else can I learn in ninja school?" They took a detour because their clan leader gave the order, and this is not something to be proud of. Teacher Omu's head already hurts a little. Don't be too complacent, Ruohuo. Teacher Omu said patiently, "You are only in the 1st grade now, and there are still. I have read all the textbooks for the 6th grade of ninja school, teacher." Teacher Omu was interrupted by Ruohuo's cold voice midway through his words. "With all due respect, the knowledge and theories taught in the ninja school are too basic for me. So I have always admired the teacher. As a chunin, the teacher can still take the trouble to explain such a simple thing to the students over and over again. This is indeed something I can't do. Thank you for your hard work, teacher." After Ruohuo finished speaking, he bowed at 90 degrees, which made Damu's eyes twitch. "The teacher still likes your unruly look, can you recover? If you do this, the teacher will feel a little panicked." "Ruohuo, what do you want?" Teacher Omu asked tentatively. "I want to apply for early graduation, teacher." Ruohuo revealed his true purpose. "There is no time to waste. I want to become a ninja as soon as possible and serve my family and the village. So, please give me an application form, and I'll go back and have the parents sign it." Ruohuo looked directly into Teacher Omu's eyes. "Konoha, you need me.